Welcome to the Veterans Growing America podcast. I am co-host Coach R.L. Simmons. I'm here with my illustrious co-host Donnell Johns, and we have another special guest for you today. We have Miss Gabby Bell. She is the founder and CEO of Organized Q. She is also the instructor at NYU Veterans Future Lab, and she's also a military spouse. Welcome to the show, young lady.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for the invitation and excited to talk today.
Definitely our pleasure.
So we are so happy to have you on the podcast. And I know you, but my audience needs to get to know you. So can you share a little bit about how you're connected to the military and then also your background and experience?
Sure. I was born into a military family. My father was in the Air Force for 30 years. He and my mother actually also came from military families as well. I was destined to join the Air Force myself. I had an ROTC scholarship when I was in college. Due to some unfortunate events in my freshman year, I decided to change direction and went into education. Shortly after I graduated from college, I ended up was young and maybe dumb, but I got married, and my spouse had joined the Air Force. I was a military spouse for almost 20 years and was very, very happy to work alongside my spouse while I was teaching and he was in the Air Force. And then while I was on maternity leave at one station, I turned in my resignation because we received PCS orders to move across the country, which many military spouses and family members understand this lifestyle. And I was happy to do that. I was happy to put my career on hold for the sake of my spouse's career. Many PCSs, many moves, deployments, 4 kids later, we end up in Northern Virginia and the DC metro area because of Pentagon. And I saw that life was changing pretty rapidly for our family and that I was about to become a single mom of 4. Military life is hard. There's a lot of wonderful things about it, lots of great opportunities, and also there's hardship that happens behind closed doors. So for us, me personally, I had not worked for pay for, I don't know, probably over a decade, maybe 12 years. My oldest was 12. My youngest was 2. And I was trying to figure out what am I going to do to bring income into the family with this changing dynamic. And I fell into entrepreneurship. I had taken on a gig trying to piecemeal things together to bring in income. And one of those things was as a virtual assistant. I found a program which was really life-changing for me as a military spouse, the Dog Tag Fellowship Program, which is in Washington, D.C., but they also have a location in Chicago. And that 5-month fellowship of basically finding your next step was transformational for me. You come out of there having to put together a business plan based on an idea or a business concept. I went through many iterations and then decided I'm already doing this work as a virtual assistant. Let me craft my deliverable so I can graduate from this fellowship around that. So out of necessity and because of an assignment, I formalized my business plan around Organized Q, and that was back in 2018. And I was the business for couple of years. And then I grew to capacity where I could not take on any more clients of providing administrative support to small business owners and executives. So I leaped and I was like, okay, I'm going to hire somebody. And I decided to hire another military spouse. I was really in need of flexible remote work, my adult life, and it just continued to grow. So we provide executive assistant services to small business owners, executives, and social impact organizations. And we have our own social impact mission of providing flexible remote work for military spouses, veterans, and underemployed professionals. Raising military kids, our business is military adjacent, if you will, particularly in that talent side. And here we are today.
So let's take a step back. Let's talk a little bit about that transition into entrepreneurship. Was there a passion there, or what was the inspiration for you to say, hey, I'm already doing this. I found some cues. Did that inspire you, or did that turn into a passion and a drive into entrepreneurship?
I think for me personally, there are probably elements of being entrepreneurial growing up ever since I was young. I didn't have any adult figures who were in a military family, so owning your business wasn't in like the concept of reality for me. Like it wasn't a norm, but I always had that kind of initiative and drive of let's do something new. You're in a space as a military family member for only a short time, taking advantage of the opportunities and resources in your area and just getting really creative. Also being an educator and a mother of four, I think most parents end up being pretty creative on how they solve problems. So I think there are just different attributes to that. When I transitioned into entrepreneurship, again, I didn't set out to start a business. I was really looking for ways to make money so I could buy groceries. And then saw taking in resources around me of, oh, I can formalize this and I can accelerate and scale this. So for me, one of my favorite quotes is a necessity is the mother of invention. And for myself, my family, and my team, that's really been the engine that's made this go. Let's just figure it out.
Yeah, that's amazing.
No, I love that. So I want to really shape this in a way that if anybody was watching and they wanted to start a business, if you had to take it all the way back and start your business all over again, what are 3 things that you would change, or not that you would change, but what advice would you give someone that's starting now?
Okay, so it feels like a loaded question because the other hat that I wear is I do teach entrepreneurship as well for military connected entrepreneurs at NYU's Veteran Teacher Lab. So I think of it from 2 perspectives. One as a business owner, one from an instructor. There's a couple of things. One, like you need to be solving people's problems. You need to be solving people's problems, and those people need to be willing to pay for the solution, right? So that product market fit is really, really important. Like you can have a great idea, but if nobody's going to buy it, it's just a great idea. So there's like multiple things that need to be considered. Also, if you have limited resources as an entrepreneur, as a founder, think of what's the lowest hanging fruit that you can go to market and start bringing in revenue. That cash flow makes a really big difference. And so if you can solve a group of people's problems and they're willing to pay for it, that's really good indicator that you're onto something great. Otherwise, if you can't find the money that follows that solution, then you've got a hobby. And that there's nothing wrong with the hobby, but if people are looking for a way to build a business where that economic stream is a key factor in your growth and development, that those are like real things you have to consider. And it took me a very, very long time to wrap my head around that because I come from a background of education. People don't go into teaching for the money. I came from a military family. People don't join the military for the money, right? We come from a place of service, and it's a mind shift to say, I can still be of service and bring money in. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, there is nothing wrong with that.
I love it. And that's facts, though. So let's talk about your unique business proposition, right? So tell us a little bit about what your business does, and then why is that? Why? I already know the answer, I guess so. And I was going to come with another loaded question, but let's have at it. Is the service you provide so important to business owners?
So providing executive assistant services or business operation support services, like those critical functions that happen in the background help to keep the engine going. So for example, having somebody who can keep an executive or a leader on track, on task, focused with getting things done on time, ahead of schedule, attention to details, like being forward thinking, the follow-up, all of those critical pieces are important. And when they don't get done is when things start to become problematic. So it's usually just like when you go to a function, an in-person function or a restaurant, it's the people in the background who keep it all running that make it a good experience. So that's what we do. We come in, we help in those ways that it allows the leaders of the company or the executive team to be able to grow their business, grow their organization, and we take care of the minutia that needs to be taken care of.
Yeah, I love it. I think one of the biggest things with being able to do that, especially as business owners, entrepreneurs, executives, it's really one less thing that you have to think about, because a lot of business owners struggle with doing the stuff and trying to do what they're good at. And it's a stretch when you try to do both. So I definitely applaud your business and the way you support leaders.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we have found that, especially for growing businesses and organizations, that particularly the leadership team, that oftentimes they need to be working on focused on growing the business, growing the organization versus working in the business.
Absolutely.
And it takes time, especially for those that are just starting out. You're wearing all of the hats all of the time. And when you have the resources where you can say, I can outsource a piece of this or delegate a piece of this so that you can continue to grow, that's like a critical timepiece of when when you're ready to bring in support. And Organized Q does that. You can either hire under your own umbrella, you can outsource it, you can work with a company like Organized Q where we can provide that contracted support to help you.
I love it.
So let's talk about, since you support so many different types of businesses, people that are starting out in business, people that are currently in business, what are some of the challenges that you see organizations face?
We have a really unique perspective in that we work with so many different companies and organizations, and we have a behind the scenes look of what is happening. So we've seen it all. And it is normal for it to look like and feel like a hot mess in your organization. That is normal.
Have you been to my house?
It's totally normal. And people come to us like, I need help and I feel really uncomfortable because this hasn't been done. It's all jumbled up. We're like, that's what we're here to do, is to help to streamline this and organize it and get you on track. For those that are just starting out, I think looking at what is your end goal? What do you want to do? And then deconstruct it that way. Because people can say, I've got this grand plan. This is where I want to be. And here I am today, and I'm working a full-time job, and I want to be a full-time business owner instead. And like, how do you transition that? And I often say, especially when I'm mentoring people, look at the end and see if you can deconstruct it, because there's lots of different ways to get to where you want to be in the end. And then like figure out where your zone of genius is. And when you have the resources, outsource. Like, it is important that you know your finances, but that does not mean you have to be an expert in financial acumen to run your business. You don't want to be completely blind to it, because you need to have a pulse on all aspects of your business. But you can outsource your bookkeeping. You can outsource different aspects of your operations.
No, I always tell people, think about those things that you hate doing and hire somebody very fast to do it. Because you don't want to do the stuff that you don't like to do. You can do it for a minute so you'll have an understanding of it. But after you get that understanding, delegate that to someone else, and they can find Organized Q.
Right. And also, I think another piece is, especially for those that are just starting out, where you're doing everything yourself. You are sales, you are marketing, you are operations, you are the hiring manager. Decide which of those are. I'm very threat averse. So look at the ones that, okay, if I hand this off and it all goes, I don't know if we can swear here, it all falls apart, is it going to be detrimental to my business, or can I pick up the pieces? So that's usually what I suggest. Okay, what is the least, what's the aspect that's going to hurt you the least that you can start to like outsource? The other thing is standard operating procedures. Start to record that. So if you outsource it to somebody, ask them to create that. So if they leave, if there's an earthquake and you can never find them again, you still have some documentation, so you're not starting all over from scratch, right? Those are some backup plans that you can incorporate into what you, and then also think about, like, how are you going to make money? Like, if you're growing a business, how are you going to make money? Like, getting your first invoice and getting it paid, that's a huge celebration. That's huge.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, like, over your course as an entrepreneur, an instructor for entrepreneurs, what are some key lessons that you've learned that you could share with the audience?
Everything takes longer than you hope it will. That is also patience of a group of peers or colleagues that are, I don't want to say commiserate, but that you can share with. Because here's the thing: if you have a spouse, a best friend, a family member, they don't necessarily get it, right? They don't necessarily get the passion and the drive of what you're building. And that's completely normal, right? That is completely normal. But if you can find a group of other entrepreneurs that you can build a relationship with and call them, it's normal, even if you're in completely different industries. So, oh my gosh, hiring and they didn't show up for work, and what do I do? Like, having a support network is super helpful. And then I think the third one is also, if you can find a mentor who is a few years or several years ahead of where you are in business, that can be really beneficial as well. But come to that relationship as not just taking, but also like a learning opportunity. I always want to lead with, what can I do to help you as well? It doesn't have to be business transactional. It could just be, hey, today I really need a funny meme because I'm having a hard day, or whatever that might be. But your network is very, very crucial. So start building that out when you can.
So
All great.
the audience wants to know also, like, where do you see Organized Q in the next 3 years?
In the next 3 years, we have grand plans. We have huge plans. We're going to continue to build out our commercial side of providing executive assistant services. We've ventured into recruiting as well. And our big grand plan, and it feels unsettling right now just because of where March of 2025 and the federal government is fire. It feels like we are building out our government contracting arm, Organized Q, and so we're just going to we're continuing to go for this. We've been working towards this for the last couple of years, and we've made good headway, and we're just going to keep going for it. So continuing to grow and scale and have a larger team.
Yeah, this is a new time, and with new times, you could always adjust fire to solve the problems of today.
Yeah, there's lots of opportunity. One of the things, especially with the mass layoffs, particularly at the federal level and in the Washington, D.C. area, so the climate, it feels palpable of the change and the stress of becoming a resource to those either from the talent side that are looking for their next opportunities, but also from the business side, the business perspective of, hey, there are still business operation that need to occur in a economical way, and that's an opportunity for us as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we gonna start shutting down the show. We probably should have went another hour and a half because you just dropping.
Okay.
But as we close out, for the listeners, you have any last words for them?
I think if you're depending on where you're coming from, if you are in between your professions, let's say you're looking to enter the world of entrepreneurship, if you're in between careers, but whether by choice or by force, when deciding what is the next step, my biggest advice would be kind of look at the big picture of where you want to be. Look at the resources that you have and determine, like, what are the paths to get you to where you want to go. If you still want to be working when you're 95 years old, that's amazing. But if you want to be living on a beach when you're 95 years old, you go, okay, how do I get there? And most of us do not have billions of dollars in the bank to be able to just go there tomorrow. So we've got to bringing in income into your home and into your business is really important. Find people. Most people, I truly believe, want to help. So asking for help, but then coming back with a thank you can go a really long way. Yeah, lead with gratitude was I have found to be to be instrumental, and just keep going, one foot in front of the other. It's hard. It's going to take a lot longer than you think it will, and that's normal. But if you can make that first sale or paid invoice, celebrate that, because that's huge.
And for the listeners, how can they get a hold of you and Organized Q?
So for Organized Q, we are on major social media platforms at Organized Q. That's our handle, or organizedq.com is our website. I am pretty active on LinkedIn under Gabriela Q Bell on LinkedIn. I'm always happy to connect. And if you've listened to the podcast and you have any questions, whether it's entrepreneurship in general, military connected entrepreneurship, flexible remote work, I'm always happy to answer any questions that I can. And then if you happen to be a military connected entrepreneur, please check out NYU's Veteran Future Lab. We have cost-free programming. There are 2 courses that are virtual, so you don't have to be in the New York City area. And then we also have a 9-month incubator program for early stage tech-based companies. So some opportunities, and we'd love to be able to talk and get you in the community.
Gabby, truly, truly appreciate you having you on. Nothing but gems. I love it. I love it.
Well, thank you so much. I feel really honored to have been invited this evening, and excited to talk with both of you, and hope it was helpful.
Oh, absolutely. Donnell, let me ask you this, man. How can people continue to support Veterans Growing America?
First, I want to just say thank you to Gabi for being on our podcast. It has been a blessing and an honor to have you. We met back in 2019 at the Military Influencer Conference, and I've watched her grow and flourish. So congratulations to all of your success and the things that you're doing in the veteran space. And to the listeners that are listening right now, so how can you get involved with Veterans Growing America? So there's 3 ways. 1, you could be a customer. You can come to one of our stores. We have a store in Woodbridge at the Stonebridge at Potomac Town Center, and you can support veterans, military spouses, or the events that we have going on. Every event that we have is tied to an entrepreneur that's running that event. Or you can visit us in our Maryland store at the Clarksburg Premium Outlet, where we also do events there, as well as our retail store. In addition to that, we also have education opportunities. We say at Veterans Growing America, you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself. And so if you're looking for a community of entrepreneurs that could help you along the way, that knows the struggle, but it's not a struggle with VGA. It's just small growing pains. So stop, shop, enroll with Veterans Growing America. And thank you guys for watching our podcast. Like and subscribe.
I love it. I love it. I love it. We are over and out.